Next up, we've got ICE was ambushed in Chicago, as I'm going to call it from now on. When we talk about Chicago, just going to shit, dude. Chicago, so you've got ICE agents going to do a detention in Chicago, and they get their vehicle rammed and then surrounded by several other cars in the middle of the street downtown. Probably got lost on their GPS. So the agents get out of the car because they're freaking out, and one of the protesters allegedly approaches them with a firearm, and this is allegedly her. It goes by the name of La Maggie. I've had worse. Kind of hot. Couple beers I would if I were single, you know. She allegedly has a firearm, and they cap her. And she went to the hospital. She lived, whatever. I mean, if this is really what happened, if you had ICE agents driving down the street in an unmarked vehicle, somebody had to know that vehicle was marked. So you might have a narc, you might have a trail, who knows. You get your vehicle rammed and then surrounded by several other cars. You have people coming out armed. That's not just protests anymore. That's not just random people acting violent. That's flat out guerrilla warfare. That's urban combat. That's an organized militia group at that point. That was planned out, that was timed, and it was executed somewhat proficiently. Now, fortunately, leftists, they can plan and they can get better about their organizational skills, but they will never not be able to be either total frail pussies or the most morbidly obese, disgusting creatures you've ever seen. So while they may be able to execute these plans a little bit better than they once did, and they may be able to organize a little bit better than they could about a decade ago, they're still fucking worthless human beings, physically. And they can't hold their own in a fist fight or a gunfight. So the ICE agents made it out unscathed. But, I mean, this is an ongoing problem. Chicago's going to shit, man. You had another guy, or excuse me, you've had multiple leaks from police officers in Chicago who are saying they've heard straight from the mayor's hotline, hey, if you get a call from ICE agents that they're under attack, don't go help them. Leave them out there. That's not our problem. We're not going to help them. So they're going to abandon their fellow brothers in arms, fellow officers, just happen to be from a different department, because the mayor told them to. Don't respond to that. Let them sit out there and get the shit beat out of them. Let them get killed. God knows what, right? And by the way, a lot of ICE agents are Hispanic. Fun fact, in case you didn't know. But we also had, I mean, we talk about political violence. You had the left. So every year before the Supreme Court gets started, they have a mass at the Cathedral of St. Matthew the Apostle in Washington, D.C. You've got a guy who shows up to this with 200 explosives trying to do an alleged suicide bombing on the Supreme Court. Now, they found a manifesto. He was crying about Palestine and ICE and the Supreme Court. Now, again, when we see these bullshit studies about political violence, they'll say, well, we couldn't determine his motive. You know, he just told us what his motive was, that he had a blatant political slant, but we couldn't tell you, so we're not going to call that left-wing violence. By the way, when the Aryan Brotherhood gang members kill each other over a drug deal gone wrong, that was right-wing political violence, in case you didn't know. It's all bullshit. When you see those studies about right-wing, left-wing political violence, know that it was done by someone on the left, and they didn't count things like the Trump assassination attempt. They didn't count the Nashville school shooter. It's pure bullshit. It turns out when you bend the numbers the way you want them to bend, you can get any results you want. Who would have thought? I mean, but this is it's just getting increasingly worse. It's just everything seems to be, it's like Art Bell had The Quickening. Everything seems to be escalating and happening faster. That's why I've got 100 fucking topics to get into this show. We're not even we're about 2/3 of the way through the hour here. And then we're going to take another break. But I mean, this I told you this is going to be a marathon show. I'm sorry. It's going to be a longer show. It is what it is. But it's just everything seems to be escalating. I mean, 5 years ago, we had protests that got a little violent and rocks got thrown in buildings, got set on fire, and it was horrible. It was bad. And now we've got like organized hits on federal agents. Now we've got guys showing up trying to suicide bomb the Supreme Court. What's it going to be like 5 years from now? Think about it, guys. We thought the George Floyd BLM riots were insane 5 years ago. Now, we look back at the riots 5 years ago and we're like, well, at least people weren't just shooting their political rivals and then celebrating it. What are we going to think in 2030 if we don't put this insurrection, and that's what it is an insurrection, if we don't put this communist insurrection down, what are we going to be talking about in 5 years? Well, yeah, the Charlie Kirk shooting was bad, but, at least they weren't just walking into churches and just mowing people down every Sunday. How far is this going to go before it gets to a tipping point? I was talking to a guy in the sauna at the gym about this yesterday, and I was like, look, because we were talking about the situation in Nigeria, and, he said, I think a lot of the problem why you get so many radicals is because people don't have anything to lose over there. And I was like, that is an astute point. That is an excellent way to put it. Do you want to come on the show? No, but seriously, when you look at countries like Nigeria, when you look at countries where you've got high political tensions between extremist groups, the common thing is people don't have anything better to do. When you have a stable economy and you have a healthy middle class, that prevents a lot of things, but most importantly, it prevents civil unrest and civil war. When people have things to lose, when a guy has a job and a mortgage and a family that depends on him, he can't pick up a rifle. He's got too many comforts and too many responsibilities. When you take those things away from that guy, which we're seeing happening at increasing rates, you're seeing people that fall in love with the idea of not having kids or whatever, and then they get down the road and they're like, oh shit, maybe I should have done that. When you see people that can't buy a house, so they just check out. When you see people that got a college degree that seemed like it was going to be a good deal when they went into college, and then halfway through they realized it was bad and they weren't going to be able to use their degree, but they decided to finish it anyway, and then they've got a 4-year degree and $100,000 in debt with it for just something they can't use anywhere, and they're waiting tables for a living. Those people check out, and we're seeing that increase in this country. We're seeing more and more people with less and less to lose, and that's where you get pushed closer to civil war, and that's on the right and the left. It's more so on the left right now because that's who's doing all the violence. But eventually that's going to catch up to the right, and I pray to God that this AI bubble pops. I hate to be that guy, but I really do, because I've got a feeling you're going to start seeing people on both sides of the spectrum losing jobs left and right if this AI thing comes out. But that's a story for another time. We'll talk about that elsewhere. Hey, thanks for watching. If you liked what you saw, be sure to click the link in the description to get the full episode on Rumble. If you prefer to listen along, you could actually get us on Spotify, Spreaker, and iHeartRadio. You can also go to www.outlawstreamers.com to learn more about not just my show, but tons of other great shows and all the exciting projects they have coming up. Follow my socials at Caleb Isn't Funny on Twitter and Instagram, at Caleb Salvatore Comedy on the Chinese Spy app that is TikTok, and be sure to like and subscribe to this YouTube channel. Thanks, and we'll see you every Saturday for brand new episodes of That's Based. Peace.